Hey everybody, this video is part of our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. You can pretty much find it anywhere, so we don't care where you listen. Just stick around and check it out.
But you know what, Mark? You mentioned Antonio Brown. Let's get right into it. Let's move right into Antonio Brown and kind of Le'Veon Bell, but we're going to focus. The title of this on YouTube is going to be more Antonio Brown focused. I'm just going to throw the question out there for you. Antonio Brown getting the new contract from the Steelers. What does this contract mean for the future in Pittsburgh?
Well, I think it's good. I mean, Antonio Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Many people are going to say he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. So you want to lock the guy up. And, you know, you want to get that deal. He's the highest paid, and that's something that the players all care about is being that highest paid guy.
He also got a new car this year,
good
courtesy
for him.
of Brandon Marshall.
That's why you don't bet your car.
With that bet that they made.
Don't bet your car. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you see it and this is a good deal. You're happy with it. He's one of the best. You got to have him there. The problem in the playoffs for the Pittsburgh Steelers was not Antonio Brown.
No, it was their defense.
Yeah, the defense let them down, and the game planning let them down as well against the Patriots.
Which is a Mike Tomlin problem. Exactly.
So that's not an issue. Of course, you look to the side as well, and you see Le'Veon Bell getting a franchise tag. Big Ben's going to be back. He's not going to retire this year. But it's coming up soon, so you want to make sure you have this great core in place while you have Big Ben for this limited amount of time that you're going to still have him so that you can go and win yet another Super Bowl and just add to the legacy in Pittsburgh.
And the one thing that I'm reading here, and this is from an article on ESPN, and this is kind of like the one where it says Antonio Brown's big money deal won't cripple Steelers. And the most important thing is, and this is what the excerpt of this article says, and I quote, "The Steelers will cover themselves here. They know this contract could have some dead money attached if Brown's play declines, but the small initial salary gives Brown incentive to play well into his 30s. So this is a deal, like it says, he could play well into his 30s, but the reason why overall this deal is not going to cripple and it's not going to negatively affect the Steelers' future that much is because if his play does decline, let's say it does, there's going to be that dead money where it's gonna help the Steelers where it's like, hey, you know what? We're not going to overpay you if you stop performing. It's one of those things where we are going to pay you what you are earned, and that dead money could help them if Antonio Brown, let's say, trails off as he gets to his 30s. Because I know for running backs, we mentioned 30 is the magical age. It's one of those things, even wide receivers, when you're taking those hits all the time, going up and grabbing balls, it's not as easy as it once was, especially the kind of game that the NFL has turned into where it's not as ground and pound as it once was, and it's a passer's league. Wide receivers are being used a lot more than running backs now.
Well, I wouldn't really be too concerned about Antonio Brown slowing down or anything like that.
I'm just saying if he does, if anything does happen.
The worst thing for Antonio Brown that can happen is Big Ben retires next year, and then you have who? You know, who's going to be your quarterback? You're going to have to go draft one. The Pittsburgh Steelers are certainly going to be drafting somebody in round 3 or 4.
Yeah, Landry Jones.
No, you don't have anything. So they certainly are going to have to go out and get something. And Big Ben, you know, he's not the iron tank that he used to be when he really got the nickname of Big Ben. So that's going to be something interesting. You know, I do think that, you know, for the last 3 years now, Antonio Brown has proven his abilities and proven his skills as one of the best, you know, wide receivers in the game, wide receivers for the Pittsburgh. And kind of, I don't want to say silently because we all know who he is, but he's not the first guy you name when you think of a wide receiver in the NFL, when you think of a superstar. You know, you're going to think of OBJ. You're going to think of Alshon Jeffrey. You're going to, you know, you're going to think about Demaryius Thomas a few years ago, more so than now. But these are the type of guys you're thinking of. And then Antonio Brown kind of quietly went out there and did his job and got paid and has done really well. Even though he did, of course, make a big splash with his stupid Facebook Live video.
I was gonna throw that out there. Does that play? Because a lot of people are gonna say, well, you know what? A distraction to the team. That's the reason why we kind of lost against the Patriots. Really, that had no reason of why you lost to the Patriots. You lost to the Patriots because I can tell you on one play why you lost to the Patriots. You left a guy called Kevin Hogan wide open. How?
Yeah.
The safety just forgot to cover that side of the field. Forgot there was a field on that side. Thought they were still filming The Dark Knight Rises and the Gotham Rogues were playing there in Heinz Field. But that's going to come into it. But really, by next year, we're going to forget that Facebook Live thing ever happened.
Well, I think this contract proves you that we already forgot about it. We don't care.
Well, the Steelers forgot about it.
They moved on. And I don't think anybody else cares about it. I thought that the Facebook Live thing was such a non-story that we wanted to turn into a story. But yeah, to me, it just shows you, as this is the theme of this video with contracts, the Redskins not showing respect to their players. The Chicago Bears, we're not sure what they're going to do with Alshon. But here's the Pittsburgh Steelers, who last year said, don't worry, we're going to get to you. We're going to take care of you. And they did. They took care of their guy. And that is what teams should do. They should take care of their players that perform well for them and give them that success, as Antonio Brown did.
Well, and the one thing I'm looking at is I'm looking at the depth chart right now for the Steelers, and the only starters as of right now that are set to hit free agency, you've got Marcus Wheaton on the wide receiver front, and then two linebackers. Inside linebacker, Lawrence Timmons. Outside linebacker, James Harrison. Those are the only starters, first stringers that you are leaving. Now, they have several second stringers. David Johnson on the tight end front, Landry Jones, D'Angelo Williams. Those are guys that you can replace in the draft, or you can replace with lesser free agents. Really, I look at Wheaton, I look at Timmons, I look at Harrison. Really, Eli Rogers showed me enough to where when we get to camp, I want to see what he can do. We drafted you for a reason. Play up.
And
there's
big guy. There's a lot of defensive talent in the draft. That's what we talk about every time we talk about the draft.
Plus, guess who they are getting back? Martavius Bryant, where he had his 1-year suspension. So really, the Marcus Wheaton thing isn't that big of a deal. Because really, Martavius Bryant comes back. There's your 1-2 punch with Brown Bryant, Eli Rogers, and Darius Hayward-Bay are your 3-4 right now. And then really in the linebacker department, if you look at the free agents as of right now, and according, like some of these guys might get tagged, the top 3 linebackers inside and outside both right now, according to how much money they were paid last year, DeMarcus Ware, Lawrence Timmons, Robert Mathis, Julius Peppers, DeQuell Jackson, and Nick Perry. You're telling me that a guy like, let's say, Robert Mathis leaves Indy. You're telling me that the Steelers won't throw him a bone, throw him a couple bones to come in, play outside linebacker because maybe they don't want to pay James Harrison? And then linebacker, where they are in the draft, they can go ahead and get a linebacker. Well, if a guy like Jared Davis falls to them, they could grab a linebacker outside or inside late in the draft where they are in the first round.
Yeah, they're in a sweet spot there for sure. That there will be, and there's a ton of defensive talent in this draft, like we were saying. They will get guys who can get to a quarterback. There's no doubt about that. They will get guys who can command the middle of the defense there. That is not an issue for the Steelers. The Steelers are in a great spot. What they really need is just to milk that last little bit of Big Ben that they have. And the biggest problem they have, of course, is that they're going to run into Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. And I look at mine. I'll announce it now. Your next mock draft, we're planning on having it come out middle of next week.
As long as nothing big comes up and ruins it again.
We'll have the combine, which is coming up this weekend. We will have the free agency that will just be around. Like, this will be the last one for you, kind of like me, where it's like the last one right before free agency officially starts. But you'll know at least some tags that are going on.
For sure.
I look at my last one. The guy that I had them take and the guy that came directly after them, Zach Cunningham is who I had them take, the linebacker, more of an inside guy from Vanderbilt. And what's the first thing I said in my description? Timmons and Harrison are both on the fence with free agency around the corner. Zach Cunningham is a 3-down backer who Pittsburgh can either place on the inside or the outside of their linebacking core. To me, that makes the most sense. Or if they're like, you know what, screw it, free agency, we went with an inside linebacker, we just need an outside linebacker. The guy that I had directly below them going to the Falcons, Hassan Riddick from Temple, they can go with him as well. They can go with either one of those guys right there. Now, is this like a say-all, be-all? Like those two are definitely going to be there? No. But in my situation, they can go linebacker at 30th overall and be fine and fill those two holes easily. They don't have to worry about any of the holes on their starting first string front.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's going to be guys to fill that. I mean, right in that same area. Now, this was a while ago for this mock draft that I did, where I had Carl Lawson was still around, still available in that area. So there's definitely going to be options there. But the thing that I'd like for the Steelers for this deal is they're saying, hey, offense is good. Offense is ready to go.
Well, the offense is just standpoint. And the one guy that we haven't mentioned is Le'Veon Bell. He's going to get they're planning to franchise tag Bell.
Yep.
And I guess the one thing I'll ask you with Le'Veon Bell to start the conversation is not what it means for the Steelers' future. What does this mean for Le'Veon's future and him getting a contract after this year? Or are we going to see a Kirk Cousins situation where he gets tagged again?
I don't think we'll see a situation where he gets tagged again necessarily. I think this was more of we're handling Brown right now. We'll get to you next. And one thing that they did, of course, when I mentioned that they told Antonio Brown, don't worry, we will get to you next year. And they did it. So they can tell Le'Veon Bell, don't worry, we will get to you next year. We've already shown that we will keep our word, so they'll be there for him.
Well, let's be honest. The one big thing between the Steelers ownership and the Steelers kind of management, which is way different than how things are run in the nation's capital in Washington, is the Steelers are a loyal franchise.
For sure.
Steelers are loyal to their players, and once you are a Steeler, when you're a valid Steeler, they'll fight for you. They'll be behind you. They will have your back. And I mean, Le'Veon Bell, he'll just have to play with a tag. And I know what people are going to say. I mean, you think back to the AFC Championship game. He got injured, wasn't able to get back in there, kind of had a not-so-good performance in that game. But really, you can't hold it against him because he did get injured, and it wasn't like he kind of had a dud game in the AFC Championship game. I still think the Steelers, like you said, know what they got. You know what? We're going to tag you to push it off to the side, but we will get to you. I promise that.
Yeah, and it's not to say that they can't get a deal done still. They still
You're talking mid-year or before the year?
Well, they still have till, what is it, July 15th is that deadline. So they got time. They can work on it too, and this could just be the security blanket of, hey, we know we have you. So you certainly have that, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers put themselves in a great situation. Like I said, the problem is just they're going to run into Tom Brady again, and what really let them down was that defense.
Yeah, and that was it. Really, to me, I just think of that one play where they left Kevin Hogan wide open in the end zone, and that's going to be the big thing is that defense. We'll see what they do to shore up. We'll even see if James Harrison comes back to the Steelers, because I'm going to look it up really quick because I did see on ESPN that James Harrison and his agents have said that he is for sure looking for a set amount, and from what ESPN says, he's looking for a 2-year contract. So James Harrison wants a 2-year contract, which would mean if he plays both of those years, you're basically paying him to play till he's 40. If I'm the Steelers, I'm saying sayonara, go get that somewhere else, because you ain't going to get that here.
We are loyal. Well, we're not that loyal. Exactly. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
See, if I'm Steelers ownership, I'm going, wouldn't you rather retire a Steeler, James? Wouldn't you rather retire? We'll put you in the Ring of Fame. We'll put you in the ring of fame. We'll get you a ring. we'll get you one of those nice Steeler Hall of Fame rings that all these teams and schools and high schools have now with the Ring of Honor. The Ring of Honor here in Pittsburgh. James Harrison ain't going to bring much. Like, he's a good linebacker, but really at the age of 38, how much is he really going to bring? I'll go to the draft. I'll get a young buck to come in and play linebacker for me. But before we kind of end this podcast, anything we missed with the Steeler talk?
No, I don't think so. I think Steelers, of course, going to be a good team. Not quite a favorite to get to the Super Bowl like they were last year, but hey, they're still a damn good team.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Kirk Cousins, Alshon Jeffrey, the Steelers topic that you just heard, especially if you are on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, go check out all our other segments. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or Stitcher, thank you for listening and downloading the entire podcast today. If you loved it, you hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Go check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. Just another way to support the channel other than hitting that subscribe and like button. Want to thank you guys for checking out the Onside Kick today, making us a part of your day, afternoon, and evening. But as always, have a good day, everybody.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't worry, there is plenty more where that came from. You guys can check it out right over here. Click that video, start watching it, and just stick around on Most Valuable Podcasts.